Cheat Code. Support Strategist. By Clouds. My head in the clouds, not coming down. On AO3. Chapter 18. Starting line. Hitoshi's mind was starting reeling by the time they arrived at the large door that obviously led into the support lab. What did Midoriya mean when he said they were going to help him get into the hero course? Could they even do that? How? He was knocked out of his stupor when the door blew off its hinges and threw him and Midoriya against the wall of the hallway. It didn't hurt as bad as he would have expected, and honestly was more dazed than hurt, but maybe he had something to do with the whole situation and not the fact that he just got thrown against a wall and now was sitting on the hallway floor. "Mei-chan!" Midoriya yelled. "You could have hurt us!" "Don't worry, Izuku. That was just a deliberate blast." A girl with a bright pink hair and overalls tied around her waist appeared in the doorway, nonchalantly, moving a pair of giant goggles from her head as if she hadn't just blown up half the hallway. "They've caused damage to things, but not to people. Perfect for hostage situation." "Oh." Midoriya scrambled to his feet and grabbed a notebook from his pocket. "How does that affect people like Cementos, who are objective? Made from things? There's a kid in 1A who could turn into rock and another from 1B who could turn into steel. Would they be affected? Would it only damage them with their quirks activated? Or is the damage caused because the thing is not living, in which case wouldn't affect it because the person with the quirk is still alive? What about... what the... A hero that Hitoshi assumed was power-loaded appeared from the doorway, his hands going to his helmet as he took in the scene. "How? Hatsume, I literally looked away for 2 seconds." "Well, technically, an explosion only takes a fraction of a second to begin," Midoriya began. "But the actual chemical reaction can take several seconds to run its course, depending on the chemicals involved. But you wouldn't be able to stop it once it's reached the activation energy." "Didn't you two promise not to bother the other students if I let you bring Shinso here?" Harlotta said. "Oh, it's a support lab," Hatsumi dismissed. "Explosions are normal. We're not bothering." "Shut the fuck up and go to your boyfriend's room already!" A female voice called out loudly from inside the classroom. Midoriya turned bright red and sputtered, but Hatsumi apparently didn't care about whether her classmate was implying, because she simply zoned in on Hitoshi and leaned down until she was only inches away from his face. He instinctively pressed himself as far against the wall as he could, which unfortunately wasn't very far. She smiled at him manically. "You must be extra credit-kun. Izuku told me so much about you. We're gonna have so much fun." Hitoshi simply blinked at her as he waited for his brain to catch up and maybe, just maybe, make sense of her words. "Extra credit-kun? Mi-chan!" Midoriya shoved her away from him and shook his head as he helped up Hitoshi. "You can't just call people by nicknames like that, not the first time you meet them. Shinso has a name." "Not important," Hatsumi dismissed. "What's important is that I'm gonna make his babies." Hitoshi choked on something and almost fell back onto the floor as the crazy girl grabbed his hand and pulled him into the lab, with Midoriya following close behind. He barely got the glimpse of the other students before he was yanked into a small, dark room lined with computers and the door shut ominously behind him, trapping him in with the 2 crazy students who had just kidnapped him. Was being a hero really worth all this? Yes it was. Hitoshi took a deep breath and looked at his kidnappers with a well-practiced, bored expression. "So, are you going to explain what's going on now?" Hatsumi turned and slapped Midoriya's chest. "Izuku, why didn't you explain anything to Extra Credit-kun?" "I was waiting for you," Midoriya defended. "I thought you wanted..." "Don't waste time on my account, Izuku. We have work to do." Hatsumi turned back to Hitoshi. "You, Extra Credit-kun, are our new project." Hitoshi didn't think that explained anything, except for the nickname he'd probably acquired, but thankfully Midoriya was a little more willing to fill in the gaps. "Power Loaded has agreed to give us extra credit if we use our skills to help you," Midoriya sighed, as he turned on the lights and sat down in front of the line of computers. "I'm an analysis, and Mi-chan is obviously an inventor, so we're going to, well, be your support, I guess. I'll help you analyze and train your quirk, and she'll make support items that you could use in the sports festival next month to give you the best possible chance of transferring into the hero course." Honestly, it's ridiculous that they wouldn't let you in the hero course in the first place. But at least now you get to prove everyone wrong, right? Hitoshi thought about that for a long moment. So you're basically going to train me to be a hero so you could get extra credit. Midoriya smiled awkwardly. Yes, I mean, only if that's okay. We don't have to if you don't want us. I mean, I get that we can kind of be a lot sometimes, and don't give him a choice, Izuku, Hatsumi explained. We're helping you, and that's final. Okay, extra credit good? Hitoshi couldn't help but snort. Well, I'm not exactly in a position to say no, but are you sure you even want to help a kid with a villain's quirk become even more dangerous? What if I go rogue like everyone's always told me? His kidnappers obviously hadn't missed any of the bitterness in Hitoshi's voice, because they shared a glance, and when Hatsumi responded, she sounded angry. Okay, that's it. You're gonna win this, and you're gonna prove those assholes wrong. I am sick of people being rude to my friends just because of their downright stupid prejudice. Friends? Hitoshi's brain went blank. Hatsumi couldn't possibly be including him in that. Could she? They literally just met. But then, she had already talked about having his babies. Whatever the hell that meant. It's best not to fight her friendship. Midoriya gave him a small, determined smile. When Meechhead gets something in her brain, it's best to just roll with it. So let's just get started with your quirk. It's brainwashing, right? Verbal response based? Hitoshi nodded, still reeling. Yeah, but I can't control higher brain functions. Just basically make the person into a puppet. Midoriya had whipped out a notebook and was rapidly writing down everything Hitoshi was saying. How do they snap out of it? Do you have to release your control? Hitoshi shrugged. I can, like if they're complete all the orders I give them, but it's more common for someone else to jostle them, which can break my hold. That's how most of my classmates rescued anyone that thought I was using my quirk on. Midoriya ignored Hatsume's annoyed buzzing next to him. Ask me a question. Why? Hitoshi asked suspiciously. Midoriya grinned. So you could brainwash me, of course. I need to know how it feels to be on the receiving end, and I'll help me explore your limits. His eyes went blank as Hitoshi took control. Glancing around, Hatsumi expected her to be creeped out at the very least. To his surprise, however, she just looked excited and grabbed Midoriya's notebook from the latent grip, flipping through some of the pages until she found whatever she was looking for. Okay, test time. Izuku already made a list of orders he wants you to give him. So let's start. Tell him to stand on one foot. Hitoshi hesitantly glanced between Hatsumi and Izuku. He learned the hard way not to give anyone any functional orders without their express permission. I should ask him first. Well then, just ask him now, Hatsumi said impatiently. It'll be another experiment to see if he tells the truth under your quirk. It doesn't work like that. Hitoshi gripped and turned to Midoriya. Tell me whether or not you're okay with me giving you orders. Just as he expected, Midoriya simply sat and stared at him blankly. Hitoshi turned back to Hatsumi, who was looking vaguely disappointed. See? Verbal responses count as higher brain functioning. I'm just gonna wake him up and ask. Hitoshi released his hold and watched nervously as the light came back into Midoriya's eyes. Sure, he said that he wanted Hitoshi to brainwash him, but what if he got angry? It turns out that Hitoshi didn't have anything to be worried about because the moment Midoriya was in control of himself, he just shook his head and grinned brightly. That was cool. Midoriya grabbed his notebook back from Hatsumi and scribbled a few things down before handing the notebook to Hitoshi. Okay, so this time, I want you to tell me to do the things in the list, and if I haven't woke up by the end of it, May could jostle me awake. I want to compare that to Shinso's release with his verbal control. Sure thing, Izuku. Hatsumi grinned and grabbed her phone to start recording the session. Ready? Do you think you'll wake up before the end? Hitoshi couldn't help ask. He had to ask a question to establish control anyways, so he may as well count one he was curious about. I don't know, Midoriya said. It depends on how your quirk deals with the impossible orders. Okay. Hitoshi was pretty sure that they already figured that out, since Midoriya had just done nothing rather than answer his question earlier. But apparently, he was no longer the expert on his own quirk. He quickly took control of Midoriya and started going down the list. Most of the orders were easy things like stand up, sit down, and sat on one foot, etc. The most interesting thing That happened was when Hitoshi ordered Midoriya to sit down on a stool. There wasn't a stool in the little room they were in, so to Hitoshi's surprise, Midoriya actually took the initiative to leave the room and go sit in a stool out by the power loader's desk. Hitoshi almost died of embarrassment as he ran after Midoriya, frankly apologizing to the other support students, but he finally decided that their classmates must be used to their antics because the only response that they gave to their classmates coming out practically brainwashed was a few curious glances and giggles to Powerload's expression. Shinso, I'm assuming you're currently in control of Midoriya, Powerload asked with a sigh. Hitoshi froze. This was it. This was how he got expelled from UA. He should have known better than to brainwash a UA student, even with the permission, and now he was going to get punished for his stupidity. He should have known this whole situation was too good to be true. He stared at the door, clasping down his anger and disappointment. Yes, sir. I'll release him from my quirk right away. There's no need for that, Paraloda said. I'm sure you're in the middle of an experiment, right? Hitoshi hesitantly nodded. Was Paraloda just going to accept that? He wasn't going to expel him for using a quirk on a fellow student? Apparently not, because Paraloda simply nodded, as if the situation was completely normal, or as normal as any situation could be when Midoriya and Hatsume were involved. Shinso, please tell Midoriya to get back into his room, Paraloda said, and make sure he doesn't run into anything dangerous on the way back. There were power tools in here. Hitoshi nodded frankly, grateful that he somehow avoided getting expelled, and ordered Midoriya to go back to Hatsume, who was currently rolling on the floor of the little room dying of laughter. With his luck, he could just imagine Midoriya trying to walk all the way back home, completely brainwashed if he told him to go to his room. After that minor blip, everything went smoothly. Everything, that was, until Hitoshi read the last order on Midoriya's list. Hatsume? Hitoshi pointed at the page. Does he really want me to order him to do this? Don't call me Hatsume, extra credit-kun. Mi-chan is fine. Hatsume leaned over to read over the order. That was actually a pretty important experiment, so yeah, he definitely wants you to do that. Okay. Hatsume took a deep breath and looked at Midoriya, who was really in the middle of the room. Do a backflip. Midoriya squatted and jumped backwards, only to hit the ground as his attempt of a backflip completely failed. Ow! Midoriya groaned and rolled over. The impact was more than enough to knock him out of Hitoshi's control. Okay, so the person will still try to complete the impossible command, but won't be able to do the task if they're outside their ability level. Nice to know. I am so sorry. Hitoshi ran to help him up. I shouldn't have given you that order. Are you hurt? Do you need me to leave? I'm so sorry. I should stop asking questions. I'm probably making you really uncomfortable. Midoriya just laughed with a wince. No, I put that on there on purpose. It was the only thing I could think of. Well, theoretically possible. There wasn't a skill that I have. My first thought was that I would just wake up when given the order, or maybe the brain would subconsciously know how to complete the task. Wait, do you know how to do a backflip? Do I look like I know how to do a backflip? Hitoshi deadpanned. And why would that even matter? Because your quirk could be connected to your target's body and your brain instead of theirs, Midoriya explained, as he took back his notebook. May, make a note. We should ask for Cobra Girl if she has access to some kind of brain scanner. We need to know whose brain lights up when tasks are being done. Hitoshi's or his target's. Will do, Izuku, Hatsumi said happily. I could probably build one myself if... Hitoshi couldn't help but feel like he was intruding as both of them dissolved into muttering and wrote down their observations in their respective notebooks. He was starting to wonder if he should just go back to class when one of Midoriya's more coherent murmurs caught his attention. And we know you can modify memories, so... No, I can't. Hitoshi interrupted him before he could stop, and leaned back slightly when both of his kidnappers stopped their note-taking to stare at him. Midoriya frowned. But in the footage, you could. I don't know what you saw, but Hitoshi shrugged helplessly. I mean, I've never actually tried it. I would have gotten in way too much trouble for something like that, but I can't even make someone answer a question, so I'm pretty sure I can't make someone forget something, or anything like that. Midoriya tapped his cheeks with the pencil a few times. May, what color is Shinso's hair? Hatsumi grinned. Purple. Midoriya nodded. Okay, now turn and face the wall. Shinso, put her under your quirk so we could try something. Wait, Were they actually going to modify Hatsume's memories? It seemed like that shouldn't be something she would be okay with. But when it came to these two, Shinso didn't really know if any normal rules applied. If she wants me to, I can, but she'll have to answer one of my questions. Even from the back, Hatsume's excitement was obvious. Did I get to be the test subject this time? Are you actually crazy? Hitoshi asked, incredulously. Hatsume simply laughed. Probably. Hitoshi activated his quirk and shook his head in disbelief. These two had to be insane. Okay, what now? Midoriya thought for a second. Tell her to remember your hair being green. Hitoshi still didn't think this was actually going to work, so he went ahead and gave her the order, then released his control. Midoriya smiled at him, then turned to Hatsume. Okay, Mi-chan, before you turn around, what color is Shinso's hair? Is this a trick question? Hatsume sounded confused. It's green, just like yours, Izuku. I thought you guys were going to mess with my memories or something. Hitoshi's jaw dropped and Midoriya's face split into a bright grin. Turn around. Hatsume turned quickly and did a double take as soon as she saw Hitoshi. Whoa, that's so trippy. Hitoshi couldn't even think. He hadn't even known he could do that until he'd seen her reaction. He'd halfway thought they were just being nice or something, but he actually changed her memories. How did you know I could do that? Easy smiled. I watched your entrance exam. The other examiner you got in a fight with. I know him. He wouldn't have just let something like that slide, unless he actually forgotten about you like you ordered. All that was left was confirming the theory. Hatsume grinned and leaned closer to his face. I'm going to have so much fun making your babies. Hitoshi walked into class 1C, at the end of the hour, shell-shocked, with a shimmer of snot on his cheek that he hadn't gotten around to wiping off after Hatsume's welcoming explosion. The moment that President Mike saw him, the corner of his eyes started twitching, and it was obvious that he was holding back giggles. So, how was it? I think I just made a deal with the devil, Hitoshi said numbly. Actually, 2 devils. Is that worse? It feels like it's worse. This time, Mike-sensei didn't even bother to hold back his laughter. Haha, yeah, the support course is like that. Go ahead and take a seat. Hitoshi ignored his classmates' whisper as they made his way to his seat and took out some things for his next lesson. Yes, Midoriya and Hatsume were overwhelming, but in less than an hour, they discovered things about his quirk that Hitoshi hadn't even realized after 10 years of having it. If anyone at UA could get him into the hero's course, it was his kidnappers. So if those two really were demons, Hitoshi couldn't quite bring himself to regret signing away his soul. Shinso referring to Midoriya and Hatsume as demons and, the whole selling your soul, it is hilarious to me. Because you know what? Shinso, if I was in your position, yeah, I would think I sold my soul to the devil or some shit because Jesus. Because I really do love that we're exploring Shinso's quirk. I really do. I have always had the theory that he could somehow modify memories of certain, individuals. Depending on the individual and their brain, is if they could remember what happened when they're brainwashed, right? So some people can remember, other people can't. And he could manually make sure that people don't remember or people can. It's like a theory that I've been having. And I really like that this fanfic touches upon that and how it's touching upon a lot of the quirk analysis and exploring one's quirk, because I think that is one of the most interesting things in My Hero Academia, the quirks and how they work and exploring them. Most likely, if I was in the My Hero Academia universe, I would be an analysis. I would sit there and I would be like, what can we do with your quirk? See, you say it's this, but can you do this? Right? Because I love exploring, new, different things. I also like analyzing people, mentally, physically, quirk-wise. But yeah, I would be an analysis. I would be there. I don't think Nezu would like me, though. Actually, no. Maybe Nezu would like me. We're both chaotic beings who like tea. Yeah, no. Yeah, me and Nezu would be besties. As always, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds, have a wonderful day or night. Make sure to join our community server. Link is in the description. And subscribe to see more of my content. Thank you so much for watching.